Google's using all the Chrome data as the primary signal for general SEO. So they can see, are people on the site? Are they making phone calls? Are they scrolling? They're looking at user experience stuff. They look at social signals as well. They can see shares. Google's a little smarter than most people give them credit. It's not just links and domain authority, and that there's way beyond that SEO stuff. Those are the main things they're looking at.
So I'm trying to find like somebody or an agency that could build our credibility organically to deliver qualified leads for what we do. We're strictly a residential company and qualified for in the areas that we service instead of having to dump $300,000 a year into Google.
Yeah. Well, Brian, LSA made some huge changes in the last couple of weeks. Three big changes, but the main one is basically that all the reviews are tied back to your GMB, and the strength of your GMB is what drives your LSA. So the fact that you spent most of your money on LSA, it's forced. Well, a lot of people got hammered in the last week because they've been so dependent upon LSA. They didn't realize that really it's your reviews and how full your GMB is. And of course, your website can help your GMB, but not the other way around. So either way, you have to do some SEO, and we can help you. Thomas, who has run marketing for Bulwark forever and is still there, he can help you. Danny, who is with me, he specializes just in pest control. All his clients are pest. The name of his company is Pest Control SEO. So he's one of our amazing young adults. I coach it. Here's Elliot. That's an amazing. These guys are all amazing. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of these folks. We all have slightly different approaches. I coach everyone because I'm the old retired guy who I live vicariously. I'm like the soccer coach.
Cool.
But regardless of who's working on it, let me show you what has to happen. Because I saw some of the intake things that you provided. There's so many things about SEO. I mean, it seems like you know a little bit based on what you're telling me and your 3 websites and the way you built out these location service pages and whatnot. But maybe I can tell you kind of my point of view as a search engine engineer, if that sounds good with you. And we can start with any of the sites you want.
Yeah, this is good. This is actually this site. This domain is the oldest. It's probably about 12 or 13 years old. So this site ranks better than the New York site and the last site that we just put up.
Yeah, I was looking at this a little earlier. This is kind of like a glasses half full thing. So you have a lot of branded traffic, and you're also the best reviewed in the area. So in spite of actually not having any SEO or trust from inbound links or whatnot, people are typing in your name. Some people could say that's great. That means you have a great reputation. That means SEO will naturally work. All of that is true. But what it also means is that you are not showing up for pest control city name, near me, exterminator, ants, rats, all of the local service pages that we would expect. And the reason why is that you have maybe unintentionally violated Google's helpful content EEAT policies by just spawning all of these location service pages that are just basically duplicates. You don't have enough trust at the top level to pass down to any of these pages, right? So choose any of these locations. You name one, and let's look at it. You have too many, by the way, but just choose one.
We could do Wayne in Passaic County.
Here, okay. So when you have these thin location service pages that are more like landing pages, like what you have here, there's not a lot of EEAT, right? Experience, expertise, authority, trust, content. These are basically the same pages. And when we look at this page, it's got 62 of the 293. The page doesn't have much power because usually it flows down from the domain. And because you have so many of these location service pages, you've kind of spread the little juice that you have across so many of these pages. So if we look at Wayne and different variations of Wayne, still brand terms, and you're showing up in probably a lot more local pack.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what we'd expect for a location service page. But you're missing on all the different kinds of SERP features that we would expect to see that come from social media, videos, images. Obviously, you can't make a video for every single combination of city name times, bed bugs times whatever, right? Knowledge panel, that's kind of cool because you have a strong brand, and that also will show up for PAA, right? People also ask. And these are all super low keyword difficulty because the minute you go down to the small cities, because we're not trying to rank on New Jersey pest control or worse, New York pest control or any of the boroughs, right? So these should be pretty easy to dominate. And you have some rankings here, but now, this is a little bit more difficult. This is medium difficulty. We're not in striking range.
Right.
We look at who's there, they've got just way more power.
Why is that?
Well, here, let's see. Pest control, New Jersey. See, the beauty is you use the search engine to actually figure out what's going on. Now, a lot of people, of course, you mentioned Terminex and some of these bigger players.
Yeah.
They're just addicted to SEO, to PPC because, and then you have the regular local 3-pack on mobile and desktop. And of course, these questions we have to answer. I think you mentioned Viking before, right? They've got, look at this. Wow. Right. So they have now a lot of people like to obsess over domain authority and domain rating and whatnot. It's one of many metrics, but in terms of just generally looking at Cooper and Viking and these other guys, they are an order of magnitude higher than you are. And it's on a logarithmic scale. So to move from, what are we at? 23 or something? 13.
Yeah.
So 13 to 23 is 10 times more powerful. 13 to 33 is 100. The Richter scale, right? It's a log scale.
Right.
So these other guys are literally 100 to 1,000 times more powerful than you are.
So is that domain ranking, that does play a big part into that ranking?
It does if you are going after medium competitive terms. If you're going after something that has no traffic, it's like winning third place in a beauty contest where there's 3 entrants. So it's like, when I was at Yahoo, I didn't like the fact that people would spawn these sorts of pages like you have, but there were so few results competing that it's like, okay, well, these aren't great, but it's like, we got to show something. So we'll just show one of these ones. People don't realize SEO is a competitive game. To see like if we're 16 here or 28 here, that means there's 27 people above us. It doesn't make sense when we're here, Pest Control New Jersey, to try to knock out all 27 guys ahead of us. That's just too many. But if we're number 4 or we're number 2, then it's certainly worth trying to knock out number 1 or 2, right? That's just unfortunately, I know I'm like, glasses here, you're like, we're supposed to, with abundance mindset and that, but SEO is a competitive term. That's just how it is. If we're ranking lower, someone else, exterminator New Jersey, that means, there's 29 people ahead of us here, right?
Right.
And these 100 people here, we're getting 0 because we're not far enough up to see anything, right? So that's why the reliance upon LSA, and then obviously we want to get as much as we can out of LSA. We want to look at your coverage, make sure that you're marking the leads. Like, Google's made a bunch of changes. You can't dispute the leads anymore. Like they've made these changes, right? They've hidden the call data, a lot of frustrating things. They take away our data. So then we have to move to regular Google AdWords, which then brings us into display, performance max, and it's a big jump to go from LSA is something you could do on your own because it's Google automatically making the ads out of your basically your own stuff. But Google's in the last year and a half has been pushing everyone to performance max. So we can help you set that up. We can tune it. We can scale it up. We can continue to manage it. You can have an internal person. Maybe it could be you because
no, I don't want to manage it.
Okay, we can manage it. That's fine.
I want to manage my pest control business and my programs and my bugs. I don't want to do any. That's what I'm looking to do is just work with somebody that is knowledgeable and is razor sharp and communicates very well and runs his business with integrity, like I put in your thing that I filled out.
I saw that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot, the past 3 weeks I've been talking to a lot of different people in your space. Excuse my language, there's so much bullshit when you talk to some of these people. I don't even think they know. I think maybe they were selling cars and now they're in the SEO, in what you're doing. And they want to send you all this information that it's irrelevant to me. And like I've had some companies that I tried with in the past. So I just want somebody that could, like I said before, I don't mind doing, if we do PPC, I don't mind if it's organic and SEO. I don't mind if it's LSA.
Right.
I'm looking for leads to be driven into my business that we could convert into sales. Preferably annual services, because that's what we build like our brand on, is on recurring revenue. So I would love though to be able to scale back more off of the Google LSA ads and put it more towards ranking better to be up top to compete against these other guys. As long as like this person that's doing that isn't just a snake oil salesman that tells me he could get me there and doesn't. So when I looked at your credibility or whoever you're going to refer to, obviously the people that you're working with, you've trained or something. So I'm just looking for somebody reputable.
Yeah. Well, it's ultimately my reputation, and I've been in this space forever. So, we've got a lot of young adults, Brian, and I'm not like hiding any of that. And sometimes they do good work and sometimes they don't. And if they don't, then those companies come back to me and then I have to make it right, which happens sometimes, right? And I always am watching over this because that's the right thing to do. The majority of the people, as you probably already know, that come into this digital marketing, SEO, social media space, whatever, are salespeople. They're not engineers.
Yeah.
And they're just taught a script. They went to some weekend seminar on how to sell the thing, and they know more than you
Yeah.
do. They can
I
sell
just,
you, right?
an hour before you emailed me, I got off the phone with somebody that
Yeah.
they wanted just for the initial to go through like what you're doing right now. They wanted $20,000 up front. That's what they did.
Yeah, because what their question they want to ask you is, oh, what are you at? Oh, you're 2 million? Okay, it'll be 20 grand. Oh, you're 5 million? It'll be 30 grand. That's why they ask you what your revenue is.
I said, "What is it that you're going to do for 20 grand?" Like, and then she couldn't really explain it. And I said, then I asked her some more questions. She got
Yeah.
kind of tongue tied.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I don't think that's something that I'm not looking,
Well,
to,
Brian, you're talking to a salesperson at the car dealership, not a mechanic.
yeah,
So our model is different because our people they learn how to, get under the hood, not salespeople. I don't believe I mean, there's nothing wrong. I don't mean to hate on other people that have sales teams, but I believe in the world of digital. It's just everyone should have hands-on expertise. Because if you
right.
ask the question of me or anyone else, we should be able to go into the ads, into your WordPress, into the SEO data, into whatever, and see what's going on. Because a salesperson doesn't know if the engine's not working, right? They're gonna have to call the mechanic and like make some stuff
Yeah.
up, right?
Silliness. Like you got to sit on, talk to them, then they want to set up another Zoom meeting to talk to this person where you already called me right off the bat. You've delved in, you just look at the problem.
It's
Where
easy.
do I arrive? Where
This
do
is not hard.
where do I arrive at the mix of SEO versus how much I spend with paid search? Like, how do I find that mix?
So we don't care whether it's Facebook ads or LSA or wherever it comes from. It's what gives us the best leads at the lowest cost. It's just an allocation game. It's like we're fund managers basically, right? I don't care what the stocks are. It's whatever makes us the money. And so we have this process we teach. So if you follow digital marketing, then there's this classic article on how do you optimize like a champ. And this is called metrics analysis action. So if let's say the budget's 300 a year, which is like, whatever, 22 a month. And we keep it where it is right now, but then we will test. This is all about testing. So we'll allocate maybe 10% into regular Google ads, maybe put another 10% in the Facebook ads and see how they do. And then we'll allocate. Maybe the effort is we need to do more content. Maybe there's some other thing we need, where on the margin do we get the best ROI? So I have no preference on, if we find for some reason that Twitter ads or YouTube is working really well, great, right? The warranty stuff seems to work well on YouTube because there's education and, there's a difference between someone who has an infestation, they need someone right now versus, there's different needs of different people. There's the story of your wife and that resonates differently. That might work better in certain channels than others. But the whole point is let's look at the data, not just like, well, Brian, I'm very confident that the package you need is this. That's like a witch doctor just making a prescription without taking the MRI and the blood and X-rays and all that kind of stuff, right? So
Hmm.
this is a framework that we follow. We always start with plumbing. Plumbing is the first phase of these 6 phases where we need to gather all the data. This is taking the X-rays, the blood, all that kind of stuff, which we've started to do. You gave us the initial onboarding. Then we want to look at your analytics. We want to look in your LSA. We want to look across all this. And I'm pretty sure, but we'll let the data tell us, I'm pretty sure that we'll find a lot of things that are broken.
Right.
And then I think it's important, even though you want to focus on the pest control business and have us do our thing and trust us and we're credible because you've been burned before and all that. But you, as the business owner, because it's your money, you still need to understand what we're doing.
Sure.
Not to the point where
Well,
you get involved, but you still need to like generally understand what we're doing, right? Yeah. Because we're going to
absolutely.
send you a report every week and show
Right.
you what's going on, show you how many calls we had, show you where the calls came from. And you're going to have to mark the calls or your person, whoever answers the phone.
Yeah, no, when I said I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I don't want to be having to sit there and figure out that's your department where my department is using the proper products to treat for carpenter bees and
Right.
strategizing against our programs against Viking, not to figure out how I could get the leads to come in. Like that's
Right.
not. my
Right.
forte. So that's what I meant. I'm not saying that I won't be delved in with you and on those meetings 100%. And
Yeah.
right now, I do all the disputes, mark all the books on the LSA ads every Saturday morning. You know, our ad spend right now on that is $2,800 per location. So we got New York and New Jersey. My brothers are
Yeah.
partners with me in New York. They do theirs and I do mine in New
Yeah.
Jersey. I go through every single call. We match it.
Yeah.
We track all our calls that come in on a lead sheet and
Yeah.
mark them. And
Good.
we now, like you said, they've changed.
Okay.
You can't dispute
Okay.
them anymore. You could, but then there's a whole drop down that Google's giving you, and they don't tell you for a while if they're
Yeah.
going to credit you or not. They changed the whole landscape on that, like you said, about 2 months
They-
ago. So now it's
But
different.
they play this game all the time.
Yeah.
We can, whatever it's their game. So they're the casino. They can kind of decide the rules, right?
Yeah.
So, but the main thing we need for you, as you know, you've got to mark the leads and we need reviews, right?
Hmm.
Steady reviews. We need pictures and videos into a central Google folder that we'll give you, right? Google
Yeah.
Drive. And those are the necessary ingredients to be able to make these location service pages a little bit better. So that way we can actually rank on these competitive terms. And then we're going to build links in a legitimate way from sites that we control. And we have a lot of other pest control sites that we're going to link together by topic,
Okay.
not in a link exchange way, not in a buying links, not in a black hat way, in a completely legit way. And along the way, we want some of your technicians. We want you, your wife. We want to collect some of these stories, which shows trust with Google. And then this will lift your 13 to, a 20, a 25, and then we'll start to rank. And then when this is higher, this helps everything else here do better.
Understood.
And that does take time. The whole like SEO takes time. Like
Uh-huh.
that's the whole point about take. But we can measure it every step along the way. Yes, it takes time, but we can measure it still.
When you said we, are you passing us off as an organization to someone else, or are you involved in it still, or are you retired?
Think of me as the head emergency room technician, doctor, right? So if all the other surgeons and nurses and whatever are doing their stuff, then I'm just merely looking over stuff. But if I'm involved, that usually means there's a problem.
Gotcha.
But it's not like I'm some sales agent and I just pass it off to these other people and then see you later, Brian. I'm still watching over this stuff. Every Friday, all of these guys have to submit the reports. So I'm usually busy on Friday. I'm just looking through reports just to see where things are and then providing feedback. And some of these guys, they don't really like it because, they think I meddle too much in their stuff.
So who are the guys that you're speaking of, are guys that took your classes that you have on your website that
These are people that have gone through our training. They're US. They're usually, 20 to 30 years old. Maybe they went to college for a little bit and they've gotten their hands dirty enough in digital marketing to understand the mechanics of it and actually be able to run ads and are comfortable with that level of detail instead of like a salesperson who just talks to clients or does account management.
All right. Another question. We have 3 websites. Is that a problem that they should be under one domain, merged in, or
I'd want to look at that and see. I've seen this before where sometimes you want to put them together because there's overlap. Sometimes they're separate. We have one guy who's a $10 million a year tree company, but he's got a landscaping site. He's got a tree site. He has a roof or a Christmas lights site. And we'll look at it and see, like, it's one of those like six or half dozen in the other. We'll figure out what the best combo is.
is there a correlation from what your team will do with our Google My Business, or that's something we're still going to just handle on our own? The
You
path.
have to handle replies, collecting
Right.
the feedback, but we will build out your service descriptions. We'll other information, we'll create derivative content, we'll manage your website.
Okay.
But in terms of dealing with the customer and collecting that feedback from the customer, you guys are customer facing.
And how many approximately, like your team that you work with, how many pest control companies have you guys done work with?
Maybe a dozen.
Okay. And how do you know Bulwark?
Oh, Thomas hired us 15 plus years ago. I think I was speaking at PubCon. PubCon is like the original conference for search engine optimization folks. And I built the analytics at Yahoo 20 some years ago.
Uh-huh.
So for better or worse, all these people that are trying to trick the search engine, they try to trick me or they come to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be the next?
Bulwark is great. And I can show you what we've done. In fact, Thomas and I and Danny have written a book for SEO for pest control, but it's in the final stages, which takes forever, that last 10%. But I can give you a copy of it if you want to see our techniques. We were very transparent about all our techniques.
No, I want those techniques applied to my business so we could get to where to drive those again, the leads in. I wouldn't be sitting on, I wouldn't have jumped on a call that quick if I didn't believe, I did homework. I looked at your bio and I'm very familiar. I looked at the other gentleman. Is that Danny?
Danny, yeah.
Yeah. I looked at his website. His backlink score is really low. It's only like a 2 or 3, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, I know. The cobbler's son has no shoes.
Yeah, I'm assuming that is he new into is it
He's
something
probably
that
like a year and a half in, 2 years
okay.
in. So he hasn't worked on his site. I know it's sort of a lame excuse to say he's so busy taking care of clients that he hasn't worked on his own.
Okay.
But that's my fault because I've pushed so many pest control companies his way. And then he knows how to do it himself. He's at the stage where he has to train up and manage other people to do it. And the issue, Brian, is always, it's not like, do I know how to do it? Of course I know how to do it. Are the techniques we have legit? Yes, that's exactly what has to happen. The issue is always the ongoing follow-up and just completion of task, and getting it done. There's just, sausage making, right? There's just stuff that
Mhm.
has to happen, and we need to make sure it happens correctly.
All right.
It's That's
Um,
what it is.
when you send me over, I guess you're going to send me a proposal. New York and New Jersey are two separate entities. So the new my brothers, I'm partners with my brothers, but New Jersey and New York are two separate entities. So that bill will be split in two.
Depending on the overlap there, that might be a second business. Typically, we price by GMB. We have some guys that are franchised and they have many locations. So for, second, third, fourth locations, we'll charge half.
Yeah, I just payment purposes. It
Oh,
would
for billing, you guys will.
correct for billing. That's what I meant. So it would be split between two.
Yeah,
And to be
yeah.
honest, New York is the market is it's Hudson Valley. It's when you're thinking of New York. Where are you
Uh,
located?
I'm all over.
Where do you call
Yes,
home?
Phoenix, LA. I'm in Miami today.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you've ever been to New York, when I say New York to people, they automatically think Manhattan, the Bronx.
yeah,
We're in the Hudson Valley, New York, which is an hour north. It's
yeah,
country. So
yeah.
we do exceptionally well up in New York. That business is June will be 3 years, and it's
Uh-huh.
already caught the New Jersey business that's been established for 12 years.
Uh-huh.
The difference is people in New Jersey, all they care about is price. And
Hmm.
people in New York, they're looking for quality. They're more country people and there's less New Jersey is saturated with pest control companies,
Hmm.
saturated. So, and they run around and do cheap work. So our prices, I say we're 300,000 per truck, where most operators in the industry are 150 to 175,000. So my prices are way higher than my competition, but we provide a way better quality service. We're more of a boutique company. So New York does very well, and New Jersey right now is dealing with that oversaturation, tons and tons and tons of competition on Google local service ads. When
Right.
we first started with the Google local service ads, we were cranking, and little by little now it's kind of you know, dwindling down.
We've seen that overall with LSA.
Okay.
I mean, every year this is what happens. But that's why in New Jersey, we've got the higher quality leads that are organic. We've got to start winning organically.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. So the price we have is simple. It's 3,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Second location, that'd be another 1,700. So you'd be looking at 5,000 split between you two's 2,500 a month. Month to month, no contract,
All
no
right.
setup fee. We're going to fix the website. There's no separate price for that. It's just everything's one price. No markup on ad spend. It's very simple.
What would it be monthly per
So in
location?
total, it would be 5,000. So you guys would split that.
Okay.
Yeah. No extra fees, no software licensing, no hostage holding. All the assets are yours. We don't control your website or the ad accounts are ours. So then that way, if you leave, then, it's ours. Like we don't play any of those games.
When does it usually get to where you do the testing to see what's actually working and what's not working? How long does that usually take?
So the plumbing, which is getting all the data and access, usually takes a week or two. And then after that, every week we should start making some small changes.
Okay.
But we have to come in and see how is your LSA doing. If you're marking only every week, that we recommend being a little faster than that.
Right. All right.
Let the data tell us, right? Like everything we have is driven by the data.
And who is it that I would be working with? Do you have an idea yet or no?
Probably Danny, but if I got to gauge Danny to see, because I don't want to give him too many. I think he's right at the point where he might have too many clients. I could give you Parker. Parker's been with me for 2 or 3 years. Maybe Elliot here. We have a lot of other young adults that are great.
All right.
But either way, you have my number. So that's for better or worse. Most business owners sign up because they know that I'm watching over these kids.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I mean, this digital marketing thing is a young person's game.
All right.
So
You want to send
a little more analysis. You got us the initial onboarding things. There's some access components I think you might have seen, which we'll go through. And then the sign up is everything turned into a process, as you can imagine. Blitzmetrics.com/CEP, which is our conversion engine package. And this shows you the process and the steps and this all the things that we do, what we need. Right.
that's
Therefore,
on your site, right?
yep. I'll send you a link to it as well.
All right.
Yep.
Sounds good, man.
Awesome, Brian. And I feel bad because you know how many, this is like Groundhog Day. Do you know how many Brians there are that call me that tell me I've talked to 5 other marketing companies and blah, 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 and this whole thing?
I'm sure a lot. I mean, I think it's important to work though with people that know our space of pest control, no matter what anyone says. So that was an important, like when I ask you, do you know, like,
There are specifics in pest control,
Yeah,
but
this
I will
is-
say across any, like the LSA categories, it's probably 80% in common, even though you're not the same as a roofer, an electrician, and what
Yeah.
landscaper, but there's still a lot of the basics of
So do you think
basic
that
optimizing.
the paid search would perform better than the LSA ads in certain markets?
Generally, LSA is better because there's almost nothing better than a phone call. But obviously, with Google Ads, we can specify phone call as well. It's just generally not as good because LSA is at the top. It's Google guaranteed. Google is trying to favor their own stuff because they're trying to take away the need for an agency to create ads and whatnot, right? The whole point of LSA is that they create the thing automatically.
Yeah.
They're trying to make all of AdWords automatic.
What is the deciding factor when there's certain companies in the LSA ads that are staying up at the top longer? So if I search pest control, Wayne, New Jersey, 2 or 3 companies that consistently, when I look, are at the top. Are those
Yeah.
agencies that are spending, so they're using their funds, and then the company's paying them, and they're giving Google more. Like there's a couple, like I see, it's called
Yeah,
Networks is
it's
one of them.
It's similar to how people stay at the top in Google Ads, but a little bit different. LSA, because it's known as Google Verified or Google Guaranteed. The reason why people don't seem to realize this, those ads at the top, if that company, let's say it's a divorce lawyer and they do a bad job, or it's a pest control, Google is standing behind that firm. That's
Mhm.
why you have to upload your licenses and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So the main thing Google's looking at there is disposition for that customer. Did you take care of that customer? Did they have a good experience? Also, if you dispute too many leads, which doesn't really matter anymore, but they were looking at that as a signal, right? The main signal is, your GMB, your reviews, anything that they can tell on whether that user is having a good experience. And of course, are they making money on it too? But those two kind of work together.
Does it matter if you have 500 5-star reviews or if you have 1,500 4.8 or 4.9?
Nah, that doesn't. The 4.8 to 5 doesn't matter. And what matters more, Brian, is the number of reviews you had in the last 60 days. Not that, I mean, because remember during COVID, there are these restaurants, a lot of them shut down, and they may have had thousands of reviews, but then they changed ownership and the menu changed, or like it's not the same as was before. So the recency of the reviews and then the level of the reviewers counts more. So
Mhm.
someone like me who's a level 9 reviewer, I carry way more weight than a whole bunch of like level 3, level 4 reviewers, right? And then certain reviews, if they have pictures, if they mention what happened, if it, like there's all these other factors. It's not just like, oh, this other guy has 1,500 reviews, therefore, no, it's also where they're searching from.
We have over close to 700, 5-star, we're
Yeah,
down.
that's the first thing I look at. So
Yeah.
when I saw your thing pop in, I looked at that. I said, oh, let's see how well rated this guy is.
Yeah. No, we take a lot of pride in that and really work that. It falls on and off. I got to get on the technicians about, being on asking for the reviews, but no, we work them. But I was just curious about how there's certain guys. like, and obviously the bigger Orkin and Terminix are staying at the top. And I thought it was just because the amount of money that they're spending with them.
Well, the big guys can often afford just to throw the money gun, shoot the money gun. And oftentimes they'll do things unprofitably just because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So just because someone's at the top doesn't mean we should also enter the competition, right? It could be a bloodbath.
Yeah. But I'm be honest too, like right now, because it's slowing down here in the Northeast, we didn't even this week for New Jersey, I had my budget set at 2,800. We didn't even get near that. We got around 1,500 for this week. So it
Yeah.
didn't even reach to that with the Google local service ads.
Yeah. Well, there's also uncertainty because of the election and there's weather and seasonality. And
Yeah.
then if there's any kind of spike, we like to set the budget to be not way more, but enough headroom to give us room. So if your budget is only slightly more than what your spend is, it doesn't give Google enough room, right?
Okay. But you're gonna check
Because you mentioned there's seasonality,
you're
right?
gonna check your guys, you're gonna check all that, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing that we do. Digital plumbing is we look at all the data and we do audits, and any action we take is just like any doctor, where we're going to look at your blood and x-rays and take actions based on that. We're not just going to operate without looking at it, right?
The gentleman sitting next to you is Elliot. What's the name of his? Do you have are you in business or are you just working with him?
Yeah, I'm in business.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I do typically I do marketing, consulting, a lot of the same kind of things, but I work in different spaces. In 2022, I sold my software business. And so now I've been doing marketing.
Right.
So yeah, for years, Dennis was the one that gave me my start.
Okay.
So right out of high school, I moved to Arizona with him, and basically taught me everything I know about digital marketing. Started my own agency that turned into taking what we were doing on LinkedIn, turned it into a software, and then I sold my equity shares of that.
Okay.
So
I'm sure everyone that's been with Dennis is pretty knowledgeable. So cool, man.
My standard's pretty high, so some people think I'm an a-hole, but we have to meet a standard.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. You're going to need obviously access, to our back end on our hosting and everything like that. So I'm sure that's on that link you're going to send me.
We have a whole process that kicks that off as part of onboarding. And it is a little bit tedious in the beginning to get all the things that we need, but you'll see that they're necessary.
Remember, I'm going to need two separate. We have in New York and New Jersey. So when it does get set up,
Okay.
I don't want to pay, like if we're going to pay that retainer fee, I don't want it coming out of one account. It would be split into two. The billing.
So we can just set it up as two accounts with two separate credit cards.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's 3 websites. So
Okay.
I need to know that too. Like if when you do dive into that, if we're going to be using the 3 websites or it's going to be merged into one.
So we will do an analysis to see. I'll give you a recommendation on that. With stuff like that, I need to look over it.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
LSA and Google Ads, the other guys can do that in their sleep, but this whole should we do one website or 3? I need to look at that.
I copied Orkin has like 8 different domains that compete on the same page. They just kind of monopolize an organic.
Yeah, that's right on the edge of gray hat because technically the rule is one domain per search result. But because Orkin is well known, they can get it's not fair, but the big guys can kind of get away with a little more, right?
Yeah.
If we try to do that, we can get busted, right?
Why is that?
It's just there's more trust with the bigger guys because of relationships, because they spend more, because they have longer history, because it's the big guys in any industry, not just in digital marketing, the big guys just have an advantage, right? Just because they can get away with it, right?
But their service sucks.
Yeah, well, but people. The unfortunate thing is you're in consumers will just would you know what the number 1 restaurant is in the world?
No, it's got to be a chain.
Yeah. What's the most popular, sells more than anybody else?
Probably Wendy's, McDonald's, or Burger King.
McDonald's.
Mhm.
Does McDonald's have the best burger?
No.
No, but let's say, you're an average American and you're driving down the road in some random town, you're driving through the city and there's 5 restaurants and there's McDonald's and then 4 or 5 other hamburger places. If you're an average American, you're going to choose McDonald's because it's a safe, even though the food's whatever, that's just a safer choice because the other ones might give you diarrhea. It's Jose's Taqueria. You don't know whether it's,
Yeah.
This is not fair, Brian, but and Google recognizes that people will just choose familiarity, even if it sucks. It's unfortunate, right? But Google knows that. So that Google's giving people what they want. So I really can't blame Google on that.
So the classes or the schooling that you gave Elliot and Parker and these other gentlemen.
Yeah.
How long was that they were working under you on that, learning your system and stuff?
Typically, it takes 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
Some people never make it. Some people it takes 2 years. Just like,
Yeah.
how long does it take to get a college degree? Well, some people they take 6 years. Some people do it in 2, right?
So the person that I would be working with, aren't some people better versed in just doing paid search, and some people are better in content strategy, and some
That
people
is
are
true.
better. Okay.
Yeah. So there's always a team lead. There's the main person who's in charge. Because if no one's in, if 5 people are in charge and no one's in charge. So for any project, there's always one person who's the lead, and the buck stops with them. And then they can pull in other team members to do different things. So let's say there's some weird, funky thing that we have to do with your website, then we'll pull in other people on the team to help on that. And we have people who are specialists in that.
All right. Sounds good, man.
You guys are big enough that you can afford to put a little money into branding,
Okay.
especially the husband-wife team thing. I think
Yeah.
that's so much better than the Termite big corporate thing.
Yeah.
But you got to put a little bit back in. Once you get above a couple million, you got to do a little bit of branding.
Yeah. But the same thing with I understand the SEO is a slower process, and I'm not looking for but I do know that we need to get a lot of stuff done on our sites. It's just we haven't really did hardly anything. So
Well, you'll see in our process every Friday we send a report, and it's not an auto-generated report. It shows you what we've done, our analysis on what's working, what isn't working, and therefore here's the other things we want to test based on our understanding. So every week you'll see that, and it requires someone who's proficient, not some random VA to do that. No, not an AI. It takes a human to do that part right now.
all right, sounds good, man.
Yep.
I'll send me that link and we'll get everything set up. All right.
Awesome,
Thanks
Brian. Appreciate you. And you got my cell number.
Yeah. Nice meeting you. Okay. Have
All
a
right.
good weekend. All right, man.
Thanks. See you, Brian.
Yeah.